the Cuyahoga County regular council meeting for Tuesday, January 28, 2025 will please come to order. The clerk will call the roll.
Good evening, everyone. It is now 5:01 p.m. As a reminder to all in attendance, this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the county's YouTube page. Calling the roll, Mr. Sweeney.
Present.
Mr. Castleberry.
Here.
Mr. Gallagher. Mr. Gallagher is away from his desk at the moment. Mr. Schlepper.
Here.
Ms. Conwell. Mr. Jones.
Here.
Ms. Turner.
Present.
Mr. Hauser.
Here.
Ms. Simon.
Here.
Mr. Kelly.
Here.
Council President Miller.
Here,
You have a quorum.
please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty for all. I would now ask that we each all take a moment of personal reflection on whatever is on our hearts.
I would like to reflect upon all the children dying in Gaza. Children should not be dying.
This is a silent reflection, please. Thank you very much. And to the clerk, how many do we have signed in? I understand it's very close to our limit of 30.
We don't know at this time.
Could you find out while I read the opening statement, please? Before we begin our meeting, I'd like to remind everyone that we welcome your input and respect your right to voice your opinion. However, this council has a right and responsibility to maintain and enforce content-neutral rules of decorum. Members of the public are invited to speak only under the rules set by this body. We expect speakers and members of the audience to abide by these rules. We recently witnessed several rule violations over the past few meetings, including heckling and outbursts from the audience and the display of signs in council chambers. These violations of council rules were disrespectful to those attempting to share their views during public comment, distracting to our members and those in the audience, and disruptive to the proceedings. This meeting of County Council is a lawful meeting, and violation of these rules constitutes a disruption in violation of state and local criminal statutes. I'm putting everyone on notice that individuals who violate these rules will be subject to removal by sheriff deputies and may be subject to arrest. If we have repeated or continuous disruptions, we may need to recess and clear the council chambers, at which all members of the public may be required to leave the meeting and may access the meeting once it resumes via live stream. Tonight we will hear from up to 30 speakers who have signed up and who will be selected at random. Again, we will be strictly adhering to the 2-minute time limit. When you hear the bell, please conclude your comments by finishing your sentence within 5 seconds. Parking vouchers are being provided for attendees who park in the attached garage. Please note that these parking vouchers are valid only for those with a valid parking ticket. If you fail to present a parking ticket upon exiting the garage, your voucher will not work, and you will be required to pay the $50 lost ticket fee. Finally, at the request of the Sheriff's Department, we ask that attendees please take a seat during the meeting and not loiter in the aisles or at the back of the chamber. If all seats are occupied, overflow attendees can watch the meeting via the monitors directly outside the chambers. Do we have a count on the number of requests?
Approximately 28.
Okay, so this means that we will not need to use random selection, and we will be able to hear from all of the speakers at tonight's meeting. And so please begin the public comment.
Mr. Chairman, I believe your rules require random selection, so let's stick to that.
So then the random selection will determine the order of speakers, but since we're under 30, there will be time for everyone to speak. Thank you.
Kathar Amir.
Hi, my name is Kauthar Amin. I'll be splitting my time between my students.
Hello, my name is Aya Abu Hashim. Dear Council, I am a third grader and a resident of Cuyahoga County. I am here again to talk about the money that is being invested in another country, one that is doing a lot of harm right now. I don't think that this is a nice way to use our money. I will list some of the better things you can utilize it for. Sometimes on my way home from school, I see people on the side of the road asking for money. I think that is very sad. I'm sure the $16 million can help them live better lives. Also, I think our schools would be a great place to use this money. I believe deep down, everyone wants to do the right thing. I hope you make the right choice. Thank you.
Go ahead, my name is Emily.
Hello, my name is Emily. Dear Council, why are you spending millions and millions of dollars to a whole other country when we need it here at home? So many kids are getting hurt, and you are not doing anything to help prevent it, even though you can. We can use these funds in better ways to help our community. I can think of 100 ways to spend all that money that does not involve hurting people. People in your job have to go through a lot of school. Didn't they teach you about being a good human in school? Please be a good human. Please do the right thing. Keep our money in our community.
Ann Gazy.
My name is Ann Ghazi, and I'm a Cuyahoga County resident. Good evening, County Executive Ronan and members of the council. I'm here today because the decision to reinvest Cuyahoga County tax dollars in Israeli bonds is not just a financial choice, it's a moral one, as these young ladies just illustrated. So we applaud, and we know why, it's obvious, right? So we applaud Council President Miller's questions and comments during the Investment Advisory Committee on Friday. The county's investment advisors confirmed that Israeli bonds are the highest risk assets in the county's portfolio. Noting that the county has just added a sustainability section to its investment policy, Miller wisely advised that the Israeli bonds will require careful scrutiny going forward. In response, County Treasurer Crumbs echoed that sentiment. The recognition underscores the urgent need to rethink where we invest taxpayer dollars, but this goes beyond Israeli bonds. We believe that no foreign investment should be made with our tax dollars. These funds should be reinvested locally or at a minimum within the United States, where they can directly benefit our communities, create jobs, and strengthen our local economy. Why send our resources abroad when our country and our county have pressing needs, just as these young ladies have illustrated for you? So, Mr. Ronayne, as county executive, you hold the power to ensure that our tax dollars reflect values of justice and humanity. Our diverse county includes a large population of Arab and Muslim Americans, your constituents, who are deeply impacted by these decisions. This is not just about numbers or investments, it's about lives, dignity, and the future we want to create. We understand the long game, and we are mobilizing politically. We're watching these decisions closely, and we will hold our leaders accountable, not just for what they say, but for what they do. Reinvesting in Israeli bonds or any foreign investment sends a message that our leadership prioritizes complicity over compassion. But you have the opportunity to send a different message in just 4 weeks.
John Eckerly.
I think that
Mr. Eckerly, if you could state your name for the record, please.
early. I think that for the past year, I've listened to both sides in this council speak to you guys. I think that you're able to hear their message from both sides. I think on that side of the world, one side is gradually trying to assume all of the Palestinian territory, and the other side wants to eliminate the state of Israel. I think that there's both extremists on both sides. I think it's an international issue. I think the people's time here and their effective power here should be directed at this council in ways that the council can do something about, such as bringing injured children from Gaza to the hospitals here, being able to treat children, bring them here, having some sort of resources for people that are war victims over there. But I think this issue is being beat to death for the purposes of a national issue about Israeli bonds. I want my council back. This is not freedom of speech. It's using speech as a weapon. And we've seen that our speaking times have been reduced. The number of speakers has been reduced. Content that is pertinent to the county is not being discussed by constituents because council is being held hostage. I love the message. I think it's inappropriate, just as that is inappropriate.
Thank you.
Bruce Mandel.
Good evening. My name is Bruce Mandel. I'm a lifelong Eastern Cuyahoga County resident, retired attorney. I want to reinforce the overwhelming message from the large Jewish community and so many of our Christian friends to thank you for not taking up any resolution or request to defund from Israel bonds. These bonds remain important for at least 3 salient reasons. Number one, they are a great economic investment. They're a high rate of return with safety. A penny has never been lost on these bonds. Number two, we are supporting our only real ally in the Mideast, a bastion of freedom for any and all who come in peace, a country that offers economic opportunity for all in a dark place in the world. And number three, the United States and Israel shares values of democracy, of freedom, of pluralism, and investing in Israel promotes the shared values between our country and Israel. And in closing, I want to tell you, my dad, when I was a teenager in the 1960s, had me read a op-ed in the New York Times by Eric Hoffer. You're too young to know him. He was a longshoreman turned op-ed writer for the Times. And he wrote about Israel, and he wrote about the shared values I just mentioned. And at the end of his piece, he said, and I quote, "I have a premonition, as it goes with Israel, so will it go for us." Thank you.
Michael Walsh.
Thank you for, Michael Walsh. Never done this before, so sorry. When I came in, I wasn't actually expecting to talk to you folks. I just kind of came to report on the meeting for my university. But what I would like to say was that on writing stories for this event, or on these events for the last year, whether people are going out to the Jewish Federation of Cleveland or other events, you folks elected to come to council, none of which have been involved in any peaceful or otherwise meetings with Palestinian groups. I certainly saw Mr. Ronayne come out to the JFC event, and that's his prerogative. If he wants to go out there, he can certainly go out there. But there are certainly a number of voters who feel disenfranchised and feel unspoken to by the lack of participation from folks on this council. And so you have been elected here, and you're all honorable folks. Please talk to the folks who want to hear your opinions and want to talk to you about coming to actual solutions to actual issues, both here in Cleveland and across our world. So, thank you.
Khalid Asfour.
Good evening. My name is Khalid Asfour, and I am here today because I want to make sure everyone in our community feels safe, especially families who are worried about being separated because of immigration enforcement. A lot of people in our county work hard and take care of their families, but they're scared that they might be taken away by ICE. No one should live in fear, and no one should be taken from their home or their kids. I'm asking you to help protect everyone by 1, not helping ICE. Our local police should focus on keeping us safe, not helping ICE take people away. Making safe places, schools, and hospitals should be safe for everyone, no matter where they come from. 3, helping families know their rights. People need to know what they can do if ICE comes to their door. We all deserve to feel safe and welcome. And by making these changes, we can make our community stronger. Thank you for listening. Free Palestine, divest from Israel.
Layla Natal.
Good afternoon. My name is Layla, and I'm a 14-year-old Palestinian middle school student. I'm here today to speak on behalf of children like 2-year-old Layla El Khatib, who was tragically killed just this past weekend while eating dinner with her family. She was shot by an Israeli sniper in the occupied West Bank. For children like Layla, something as simple as having a meal at home can turn into a deadly situation. Layla was not a threat. She wasn't even old enough to understand the violence around her. She was simply a child, a Palestinian child. And for that, her life was taken. How many more pictures or videos of children being killed does this world need to see to finally understand that this is not self-defense? How many more lives need to be lost before the world acknowledges that this is not a matter of protection, but a matter of brutality, oppression, and injustice? While I can go to school, play sports, and dream without fear, Palestinian children do not have that privilege. I can walk outside and feel safe without worrying about airstrikes or shootings. Palestinian children are living in constant fear every day they face the very real threat of violence. A walk to school or a meal with their family could be their last. The world allows them to live in a cage controlled by an occupation that denies their humanity. I ask you to think about the freedoms we enjoy every day and consider how many children are denied the right to live without fear. Their stories matter. Layla's story matters. We must take action to end the violence, the occupation, and the apartheid that Palestinian children endure every day. This is where you, the members of Cuyahoga County Council, come in. You have the power to make a difference by divesting from Israeli bonds. You can help end the cycle of violence that allows innocent children to be killed without consequence. Every time you choose to invest in Israeli bonds, you are supporting the occupation and the violence that it brings. The time for change is now. Thank you.
Laura Beans Sika.
My name is Laura Bean Sika. I am a proud Cleveland transplant and have been a tax-paying resident of Cuyahoga County for 14 years. I am here today to ask the council not to reinvest the $3 million in Israeli bonds that is up for renewal on March 1st. In fact, I'm urging the council to divest from Israel entirely and keep that $16 million here at home. For the last year, we have been coming to these meetings and begging you to open your eyes to what has become so painfully obvious, that Israel is ethnically cleansing the Palestinian people, that over 70% of those killed in Gaza since October of 2023 are women and children, and that Israeli bonds are rapidly losing value as their credit rating is downgraded, and that these investments are making us culpable in the most well-documented genocide in history. While the ceasefire in Gaza is welcome news, this does not absolve us of responsibility. The IDF has not stopped their genocidal campaign. They've just shifted geographic locations to the West Bank. They are still using American-made weapons and military aid to violently displace residents, bomb refugee camps, restrict movement, and employ unlawful force on unarmed civilians. Ceasefire or not, this county's investments are still funding a racist apartheid state with a tanking economy at the expense of its own citizens. Furthermore, you are risking state policies that stipulate taxpayer money can only be invested in foreign entities if they are above a specific rating. Cuyahoga County's holdings in Israeli bonds have become foolish investments. And as we have acknowledged last Friday at the IAC meeting, the county treasurer acknowledged that these bonds are the riskiest in the portfolio. In face of all this evidence, how can you even justify these investments? Beyond your fiduciary duties, I consider you to not only consider your constituents, but humanity as a whole. These decisions, these actions will come back to haunt us. We will be forced to reconcile our participation in the genocide of Palestinian people. Years from now, my children will learn of this. They will learn of the time that we so completely failed the very essence of what it means to be human. They will look at me and ask how in the world we let this happen. And I thank God I am not an elected official whose name will go down in public record as a supporter of a genocidal regime that has killed.
Daryl Houston.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Daryl Houston. I did have a lot to say today. First of all, I want to thank you guys for being here, trying to do the best that y'all can do with this chaos that we all are faced with in this country. Okay, for that matter, in Cuyahoga County too. I did take the time out to review the meeting last Tuesday, safety meeting with Mr. Gallagher and I believe Ms. Turner and I believe Ms. Simmons. You guys brought up some great questions, but one thing I want to point out to that about the county dealing with the sheriff's department, I enjoy going downtown, okay? It is very safe with them down there doing their jobs, okay? I do believe they need to put it in the budget, but I would like to see them stay, and I also would like to see them in other barrels. Sitting here reading this paper here, I seen you guys allocate $50,000 to each barrel, but one barrel on here I didn't see, and correct me if I'm wrong, I didn't see East Cleveland on here at all. Can anybody tell me why? I also noticed in this article here that we're going to repave I believe it Broadway to Richmond Road or something like that. Why are we out there where we're not in the inner city doing anything? Okay? I'm asking you county members to pay attention to everything that's going on in this county. I'm a registered voter. I have a lot of followers behind me. And I suggest suggest, it's just a suggestion, that you guys get more invested in this county, okay? Get more invested, because we're not seeing it, okay? And my mother's here, Angela Houston's here. I've had a group home, several group homes for 10 years in this community. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing any development. I'm not. I'm seeing development for sports teams and other things like that, but I'm not seeing development for us. Thank you.
Diana Setti.
Hello, my name is Diana Setti. Thank you for being here. I'm a Cleveland resident, mother, and healthcare worker who's also worked a long time in sustainability. I'm here to ask County to work to protect our vulnerable immigrant communities from ICE. I also need to acknowledge that we have a rapidly closing window to combat climate catastrophe, and we need to connect the dots between the fossil fuel industry and the industrial military complex, the greatest global emitter of greenhouse gases, and understand that there's no future for any sustainability actions like the new Freshwater Institute if you continue to invest millions in fossil fuels and war. It should be obvious by now why we need to divest from Israel bonds. In addition to being a high-risk investment and morally and ethically reprehensible, in only 2 months of the genocide, created more greenhouse gases than 20 climate vulnerable nations do in a single year. Thinking about the LA wildfires, did you know that the state of California is suing Chevron for the central role fossil fuels have in the climate crisis? Did you also know that Chevron supplies the majority of apartheid Israel's gas and runs an illegal pipeline offshore of Gaza, also responsible for 3.2% of the world's total emissions? Why is Cuyahoga County investing $15 million of our tax dollars in Chevron? There's no sustainability or climate justice there. We've got over $60 million in total of our tax dollars invested in the genocidal, ecocidal war machine. $16 million of Wells Fargo and Bank of New York Mellon, which have investments in Elbit Systems, which is Israel's largest weapons manufacturer, and $17 million in Toyota, which profits from the fossil fuel industry and whose distributor, Union Motors, sells vehicles to Israeli military. There's no sustainability, no human rights, or climate justice, simply no future without anti-militarism and fossil fuels divestment. Free Palestine means climate justice. Invest in our community. Divest from the war machine now. Thank you.
Sean Abbott Clafter.
Hi, my name is Sean Abbott Clafter. Thank you for having me. And I just wanted to say a few things before I read some letters. So as council members, it's important to realize the reason that we're here, one of the main reasons we're here talking to you is because of the person who's not sitting right there, which would be Chris Ronayne. Chris Ronayne refuses to meet with us. We know that Chris Ronayne has, in addition to President Miller and Treasurer Cromes, the most power over the investment portfolio. But since he refuses to meet with us, we are taking recourse by attending the only public meeting that we can to speak to the county's representatives. So just understand that he's leaving you all out here to dry while he's not doing his own job. And he can't even be bothered to come and attend this meeting to hear from county residents. And he's certainly not holding his own public comment in his own meeting. Anyway, so in addition to that, one thing we could do with this money, there's about, you know what? I'm going to read these letters. Okay, this is from Kelvin. I am writing to ask that our county please stop sending money to hurt other people. I think money should be used to help others and not used for weapons or to take people's homes away. This is an excerpt of a letter from Rosemary. My name is Rosemary and I'm 13 years old. I'm writing to ask you to make a big difference in our world by divesting from Israel bonds. I learned that sometimes when people's money supports something, it can cause harm instead of good. I also learned that the money from these bonds might be supporting actions that hurt families and children in Palestine. This makes me sad because I believe that every child deserves to feel safe just like I do here at home. This is from Layla. My name is Layla, and I am 15 years old. I am writing because I have learned about our county investing in Israel bonds, and I wanted to express how I feel about this. Since I was a child, I was raised to believe that equality and kindness are some of the most important values. As a member of Old Trail School, I was taught that goodness and service make our community a better place. All right, thank you. If anyone wants
Jenna Mohidadine.
And
Please.
and instead of the IDF teenagers that I,
Hold on just a minute. When the speakers come up, please come up to the front before starting your remarks so that we can hear your introduction.
Okay, I was
That's
just
all.
saying my
Thank
name.
you. Okay,
Okay.
please proceed. Thank you.
No problem. My name is Jenna Muhiddin, and like I was saying, instead of the IDF teenagers that come to idolize murderers, let's read some letters by third graders. Dear Cuyahoga County Council, I am a third grader. I live in Cuyahoga County. I'm writing about the millions that are being invested into another country. I heard you were in charge. I think where you're sending that money is wrong. We have a lot of better options for that money. Help homeless people fix schools, support businesses. If you were in the place of the people of Palestine, you would want the world to help you. Please do the right thing. By Ibrahim. Dear Council, I am very disappointed third grader in Cuyahoga County. I am writing about the millions you are taking away to invest somewhere else. It is terrible seeing people and kids and babies' lives shatter. The best idea is to keep the dollars here and not anywhere else. We can utilize these funds in better ways to help our communities thrive. Imagine you were a kid and you were getting hurt a lot. How would you feel? Wouldn't you want anyone who can help to do so? Please make the world better. Stop investing in pain. And I do wonder how Chris sleeps at night knowing he chose to accept the possibility that he pays for the bullets going through children's heads. And I hope you all know, as council, how Ronain has ignored us and how terrible of a human he is and how hostile he's made this environment for Palestinians and allies. We also demand that the county drops charges against Pastor Bunch because historically, when governments begin to target and villainize community activists and leaders, it's not long before that government begins to crumble. For the new council members, welcome. Thank you for listening, and we hope that you will be willing to meet with us and hear us and to not follow the footsteps of racist Ronain. And I'm sorry he put you in his place because he should be here instead. Support divestment, thank you. I'm going to read the last letter. Hello, my name is Aliyah. I am an 8-year-old. I am Palestinian-American resident of Cuyahoga County. I'm writing about the $16 million that is invested in Israel. This tax money is being used to do horrible things. Why are our tax dollars being sent to another country? You guys should use our tax dollars for good stuff for our community. Isn't that what taxes are for? This is what I learned in social studies. We should use our tax money for better schools and for helping the poor, instead of giving it to hurt innocent people. I'm asking you to please make our community a better place for everyone. Please rethink where you are spending our taxes, and thank you. Aliyah Al-Haddadi. Thank you.
Josiah Quarles.
My name is Josiah Quarles. Thank you for the space to speak today. Firstly, congratulations to Del Miller on his recent appointment as president. Also, I'd like to thank him for, the curiosity to ask questions that have not been asked so far in this process, and also congratulate you all for the investment of $10,000 that hopefully you will make today to the NAACP and their work to change the narrative around youth and justice. I wanted to push back on several things. First, the idea that all of these issues are not interconnected. We live in an interconnected world. So if you just keep pulling at the thread and keep pulling at the thread, a lot of things are going to unravel. We see the little decisions that we make every day. They pile up, they add on, and they create the conditions for the reality that we live in. The decisions that we've made in the past year are the reason that we are faced with a Trump presidency, why people are fearful of ICE, why there are many agencies, including our homeless shelters, that are unsure of whether they're going to have any funding in the upcoming year. What we would like for you all to do, generally speaking, is to do your jobs and pass legislation. This is not ideal to continually have to reiterate this, but We would love to have, tenant opportunity to purchase acts or source of income protections or fair chance housing legislation or a homeless bill of rights. Or there are so many things that are on the agenda to be done, but we can't get over this one hurdle. And we're not asking you to make international policy, right? We're actually trying to have you remove yourselves from international policy. So you will not be culpable for what is done with the funds that you have no control over. Thank you.
Elizabeth Sunshine.
Hello, I'm Elizabeth Sunshine, and I am a resident of Cuyahoga County. It is terrible to see the loss of innocent life and destruction that happens during the course of a war. But Israel did not start this war. Hamas did on October 7th. While I am grateful for a ceasefire and overjoyed to see some of our hostages returned, it was a crime when they were taken hostage, and it is an additional crime of extortion to get them back. I will not rest peacefully until all our hostages are returned safely to their homes. I want to thank the Council for their steadfast support of the Jewish community, and I ask you that you do not divest from Israel bonds. Thank you so much.
Donna Peyrabi.
Good evening. My name is Donna Peyrabi. You were all likely off of work last week for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I'm not the first to do it, but I'm going to take my time to read relevant excerpts from his letter from Birmingham jail. You may well ask why direct action, why sit-ins, marches, and so forth. Isn't negotiation a better path? You are exactly right in your call for negotiation. Indeed, this is the purpose of direct action. Nonviolent direct action seeks to create such a crisis and establish such creative tension that a community that has consistently refused to negotiate, Chris Ronayne, is forced to confront the issue. It seeks so to dramatize the issue that it can no longer be ignored. I am not afraid of the word tension. There is a type of constructive, nonviolent tension that is necessary for growth. I must confess that over the last few years, I have been gravely disappointed with the white moderate. I have almost reached the regrettable conclusion that the great stumbling block in the stride towards freedom is not the white citizens' counselor or the Ku Klux Klanner, but the white moderate who is more devoted to order than to justice, who prefers a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, to a positive peace, which is the presence of justice, who constantly says, I agree with you in the goal you seek, but I can't agree with your methods of direct action, who paternalistically feels that he can set the timetable for another man's freedom, who lives by the myth of time, and who constantly advises to wait until a more convenient season. Shallow understanding from people of goodwill is more frustrating than absolute misunderstanding from people of ill will. Lukewarm acceptance is much more bewildering than outright rejection. When we have a primarily black school system with hundreds of millions in deficit, lack of transportation, issues with recidivism, and appropriate avenues for rehab and community support, 16 million in Israel bonds is just inexcusable. Please help us hold county accountable for where our money goes. Also protecting immigrant neighbors. Cilantro Taqueria has my entire heart. Yeah, thanks.
Reverend Regis E. Bunch.
What always upsets me is that we always see, all these black folks up here. And you are silent in moments of genocide. Do y'all know where we came from? We came on ships full of feces. Because people like Dale Miller and Robert Schlepler and Michael Gallagher and Mark Castleberry, Martin Sweeney and Patrick Kelly and Sonny Simon said they were too lazy to do the work, so they said, let me go get Yvonne Conwell, Pernell Jones, and Meredith Turner, and Michael Housen said, put these niggas to work. But I stopped by to tell you, genocide is still wrong. I don't care how many white moderates you put up here, it's still wrong. Still wrong. This jail you're trying to build over here, multi-billion-dollar jail, one facility, when you can put multi-billion dollars in Collinwood, Lee Harvard, Mount Pleasant, Kinsman, Lee Miles, but you want to put it in one building? That frustration tells me in my spirit, that you have lost any type of moral decency that King brought to this world. Because what King did is actually bring black and white folks together. And you're supposed to build on that, not just bring us together, but to do justice together. Not to rubber stamp, not to do business as usual, not to invest in genocide. And to the Israeli folks that are in the room, you are so far from being from Israel, you don't even know where Israel begins and when it ends. Because Israel does not begin, it began in genocide, in slavery. And they said never again. That's why Passover happens all the time. Because never again. Free Palestine. Thank you.
Melissa Wood.
My name is Melissa Wood. I live in Cleveland Heights, and I'm here again to ask you to divest from those Israel bonds. I will read an excerpt from an interview with the acclaimed writer Ta-Nehisi Coates after he made a visit to Palestine. He became famous for his piece, The Case for Reparations. We went to East Jerusalem to try to visit in the way that Muslims visit the Al-Aqsa Mosque. And I can remember being there, and there were 4 IDF guards, biggest guns I've ever seen in my life. And they checked our IDs, and they gave us our IDs back. And then they did nothing. They just made us wait, and we waited, and we waited, and we waited. There was no list. There was no protocol. There was no anything. They were just making us wait because they could. And because somewhere in the back of my mind, I was like, I know what this is. I know exactly what this is. The second day we went to Hebron, I can remember walking down the street with a Palestinian guide. And we would get to certain streets and he would say, I can't walk down this street with you. You can walk, I cannot because I'm Palestinian. And I thought, I know what that is. As we drove through the occupied territories and I would look out and I would see roads that Palestinians could use and roads that only Israeli Jews could use, I said, I know what this is. As I saw different colored license plates for different classes of people, I said, I know what this is. As I saw communities that I could only describe as segregated, I said, this is Chicago, it's Baltimore, it's Philadelphia. And I don't mean to center the whole world on America. We have a tendency to do this, but my lens is my lens. This is all I have. And what I felt was a tremendous weight. I felt the obvious thing that I think of all of us feel, that our tax dollars are effectively subsidizing apartheid, are subsidizing a segregationist order, a Jim Crow regime. And I also felt that as an African American who was reared on the fight against Jim Crow, against white supremacy, against apartheid, I felt tremendous shame. How could I not know? Israel is not a democracy. You should know that. Thank you.
Basma
Free
Hamid.
Palestine.
Basma Hamid.
Hello, good evening. My name is Basma Hamid, and I live in Cuyahoga County for 35 years. Under Ethics and Conflict of Interest section, you mentioned that all persons responsible for the investment of Cuyahoga County funds acting in their professional capacities owe a fiduciary duty to the taxpayers of Cuyahoga County. Well, as Cuyahoga County taxpayers, it is in our best interest to defund all funds invested in genocide bonds that mature or due to be invested in Israeli bonds. I say this because of the genocide that is going on in Gaza and Palestine by racist apartheid Israel, in killing more than 55,000 people, including more than 25,000 children, mostly killed, systematically targeted by snipers and shot in the head and the chest. Netanyahu and members of his cabinet are charged for committing genocide by the International Court of Justice in La Haye. Arrest warrants have been issued against them. We will not be silenced in speaking against tax money and invested to commit genocide in Palestine, and we will keep packing the chamber with men, women, and children of all religions, colors, and all ethnical backgrounds until every dime in these genocide investments is liquidated and brought back to the community. Israel got defeated in Gaza, and it will be defeated in Palestine too. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Thank you.
Chris Pinner. Chris Pinner.
I think I'm close enough to the mic that I can say I'm Chris Pinner. I'm a lifelong resident of Cuyahoga County, most of it in Cleveland. And as a lifelong resident of Cuyahoga County, I've seen how the lack of finances has devastated many communities throughout this county. I mean, we heard earlier tonight about East Cleveland. And that's not a surprise. East Cleveland has been left to fend for itself for years and years. Meanwhile, our county has invested $16 million in a place on the opposite side of the planet that likes killing children. And that hurts. That hurts a lot to see children in Cuyahoga County who are suffering and have the money that could help them be used to make other children suffer. It almost makes you think that the goal is to make children suffer, which I don't like that if that's the goal. Earlier tonight, we did hear a pro-Israeli speaker say that someone wrote about, as Israel goes, so goes America. And on that, we can agree, actually. I think Israel should pay for its crimes of genocide. And hey, guess where else should pay for the crimes of Israel's genocide and the crimes of our own genocide? That's America. And the very least we can do is try to prevent that from happening in other countries and try to address that in our own county and in our own city by divesting that money that goes towards that war machine and putting it here. And that's it. Thanks.
Daniel Borison.
Hi, my name is Daniel Borison. I'm a resident of Cuyahoga County for almost 40 years. I've spoken before. Some of you are new. Thank you so much for this this demonstration of democracy, free speech, and it's just wonderful to live in this state and in this country. I get tired of hearing all of the propaganda and lies that are said here to try and take up your time for something that's just silly. Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East. It's a friend of the United States. It's the kind of democracy where there's courts, there's equal representation, there's Arabs that serve in parliament, there's free rights for gay people, for women. I don't think gay people and women have those kind of rights in Gaza, but I'll leave it to other people to say. What I will say is that thank you for this democratic process. Thank you for your good work. And I would encourage you to continue to look at this situation in the way you have before. It is a financial situation where we look for the best investment to provide funds to then spend in our county, as you are doing. I think many of the people here don't understand the difference between an investment and a grant. This is an investment in a solid investment to try and obtain funds and to train revenue to then put to good use in this county. Thank you again for all the work you do.
Tyler Goliath.
I'm Tyler Goliath. I'm from North Olmsted. Mr. Kelly's my representative. Aside from that guy and like another person before, there's not many Bond supporters here today. Maybe a lot of them grew a conscience. They were so nice to y'all when they come up here. Do you remember that? Wasn't it such a nice, fuzzy feeling when they'd come up here? You ever wonder why that was? It's because you've been backing Israel as if it's the default. They wanted you to keep defending that terrible status quo. They might not be here anymore for those nice fuzzies, but I'll make a promise from me and me alone. If y'all get the county not to reinvest, I will brown nose the living crap out of y'all, just the way the Israeli bond supporters were doing it. And I'll come up here week after week and hype you up. I'll do tricks on it. I'll tell each of y'all how important and irreplaceable you are and give you nice compliments like you wouldn't believe. That is a promise from me. Now, if Chris Ronayne was flying to Turkey Eric Adams style and the county had Turkish bonds, that would be a problem, right? So why is it okay when it's Israel? Our demands to prohibit investment in foreign bonds, that's not even a pro-Palestinian action. It's neutral. And that's what we're asking you to do. Be neutral here. You don't have to pick a side. It's honestly safer for your political careers that way. If you really want that money to be tied up in bonds, I'm sure there's domestic options. There are. And you can get similar or better returns with less Palestinian blood. How about that? I think what we would all prefer, though, is to see that money invested back in the county in some way. Invest in your constituents instead of investing in war. Drop the charges against Reverend Bunch and free Palestine.
Stephen Norris.
Hi, I'm Steve Norris. I do think in this time it is very important to protect the most vulnerable residents in the county. And then I'd like to say thanks to Council President Miller for recognizing how risky Israel bonds are, and for the County Treasurer Cromes to also acknowledging that. And I will be watching closely March 1st to see if you do start divesting from Israel bonds. Thank you.
Walt Gatchuk.
I'm Walt Gatchuk. I'm the Democrat ward leader for Ward 14 here in Cuyahoga County. I didn't mean to mention it, but I'm going to. Benjamin Netanyahu is a murderous war criminal, so I'll just leave it at that. Since deportations have now started, I was on the phone call last night with some of our Hispanic leaders and was greatly disappointed in most of them. They were blaming Democrats for not stopping this deportation action. I was only able to listen to this blame game before I made my point. The Democratic Party is nothing more than an organization made up of members. I admitted the Dem Party is not the party of grit that I grew up with back in the 60s and 70s. I've spent the better part of 4 years trying to inform and engage Ward 14 Latino community, but very few have stepped up to help. No one has the time or willingness to do the work. I've asked groups for Spanish speakers to help canvass, make phone calls, and join us at the Puerto Rican Parade and Festival. All for naught. To blame Democrats is more bullshit. No one is going to save you or your loved ones. The fight is up to us. We are on our own. You want change, be the change you seek. As a matter of fact, I was an independent in the 80s when the Dems stopped fighting for the working people. It was only 9 or 10 years ago that I decided our best chance was to stop Trump was once again stake my claim as a Democrat and get involved and make a change. I have tried very hard to do this. The Project 2025 agenda is not going to stop by timidness. Never going to happen. Right now, they are targeting some of our most vulnerable neighbors, the Latinos. Make no mistake, they are coming after all of us. Unions, women, LGBTQI+, healthcare, other minorities, they're even banning books. This stripping of our rights is not going to stop until we unite as Americans. This is not a red versus blue fight. It is not a white versus black fight. It is not a white versus Hispanics. It's an American fight. It's not a gay versus straight fight. It's not a black, red, blue, Asian, or Hispanic, European, or whatever. This is a fight for all of us to undertake. I have 2 more sentences, if you don't mind. Please pass legislation to make Cuyahoga County a sanctuary.
Sukito Truitt.
Before I state my name, I'd just like to repeat that he said to make Cuyahoga County a sanctuary county. That was his last piece. My name is Sukito Truitt. I am a member of Cuyahoga County. The first thing that I want to touch on is that old man that was born in the 1800s came up here and again said some racist shit. My sister Shireen has talked about it before, but the way that you all allow these people to come up here and spew racism, talking about being a bastion in the darkness, or you know, this pinnacle of goodness, and whatever the fuck he said over there, it's racist, and you guys aren't calling it out enough, and that's absurd to me. The second thing I want to touch on is, unlike these bootlickers that have come up here before me, this process is undemocratic as hell. There are 1.2 million people in Cuyahoga County, and you guys set aside an hour every 2 weeks to listen to 30 people talk. That's undemocratic. The next thing I want to touch on is, recently, we've heard that some members of this board feel that the term "from the river to the sea" is ostracizing, that somehow it's a call of hatred. And I ask you, is Israel bombing 4 countries at once, committing a genocide against the Palestinian people, is that not hatred? Is watching our people all over the Middle East be slaughtered, is that not ostracizing when it's happening from within the country which we live? We're watching our families both physically and metaphorically be ripped apart, and this board is worried about the words and the semantics of how we plead and beg to exist. How would you like us to hear out? How would you like us to cry out for our brothers and sisters that are being massacred every day, while you sit here in the comfortability of upholding the white supremacist ideologies and systems that have existed since the conception of America? How softly should our cries of desperation fall upon your ears? Why should we have to control the way that we speak when you all remain fucking silent as our people die?
Mike O'Brien.
Palestine will be free.
Mike O'Brien. Mike O'Brien.
Hi, I'm Mike Bryan. I've been a Clevelander for the last 5 years, Ohioan my whole life, first time speaking here. It's about my 4th time at council, and Chris Renane is 0 for 4 with his attendance on that matter. Yeah, there's a lot going on internationally and nationally at this moment. Like many people in this room, I am terrified about the changes to how we treat people not born in this country. My foster child is a refugee. I'm terrified. I would love to put all of my energy towards him. Unfortunately, the county executive has continued to drag his feet for a year, and I'm committed to this project, so I'm splitting my time between crimes against humanity. Recently, the Marshall Project published an article calling out Cuyahoga County's atrocious treatment of its prisoners, something that Ronayne was tasked with fixing and has not. Around the same time, Axios published another article in which Chris said, offered a brief explanation as to why he is not divesting from these bonds. The quote I wanted to bring up was, at the end he said, and to the why we can continue to talk. Chris Ronayne has not begun to talk. He has not met with us once. And it is appalling and morally bankrupt. Thank you.
Marlene Weinstein.
I am Marlene Weinstein and a resident of Cuyahoga County. Growing up in New Jersey in the 1960s and 1970s, I was fortunate to never experience or hear of anti-Semitism. As a young adult, I believed that humanity had learned from the devastation of the Holocaust and had evolved beyond Jew hatred. In recent years, I have come to realize that I was wrong. I recently came across a powerful quote by Shoshana Offing. Quote, "Let me make it easy for you. If you never say anything about North Korea, China, Russia, Turkey, Iran, Syria, Yemen, Sudan, the Taliban, ISIS, Hamas, Hezbollah, Boko Haram, but you consistently speak out against Israel, you're an anti-Semite. I hope that clears things up," end quote. Jew hatred is a warning sign for all communities. There's a saying, what starts with the Jews never ends with the Jews. When anti-Semitism rises, democratic norms and liberal values erode. Hatred becomes normalized, paving the way for the collapse of Western society. This is not about Israel. It is about selective outrage and the use of violence as a tool for Jew hatred. This is not a moral dilemma. Israel must defend itself, and in doing so, it defends Western civilization. Thank you.
Please
Thank you,
allow
County
the-
Council, for your support of Israel bonds. We must stand against extremist Islamists and confront evil. A quote from Sojourner Truth in 1853 remains just as relevant today. Truth is powerful and it prevails.
Susan Borison.
My name is Susan Borison, and I'm a resident of Cuyahoga County, a proud resident of Cuyahoga County, a proud American in the United States of America. And I want to do right now what I was not able to do at the beginning of the meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I thank all of you for listening to us, for being elected officials who care about what you do. And I'm grateful to Chris Ronayne. I'm grateful to all of you, and I thank you for having the opportunity to speak here tonight. Thank you.
That concludes the public comment portion for today's meeting.
We will move on to item number 6, which is approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from January 14th? Is there a second?
Can we clarify the?
Sweeney first.
Turner second.
Thank you.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from January 14th, 2025 regular meeting. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the minutes are approved. I do not have any announcements at this time, and I would ask our Chief of Staff, Mr. Janus, whether you have anything on behalf of our executive.
Thank you, Mr. President. No comments this evening. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much. Legislation introduced by council, consideration of resolutions for first reading and referral to committee.
Resolution 2025-0045, awarding a total sum not to exceed $10,000 to the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People for the Changing the Narrative on Youth Justice and Violence Prevention Project from the District 9 ARPA Community Grant Fund.
Refer to the Public Safety and Justice Affairs Committee.
Resolution 2025-0046, awarding a total sum not to exceed $10,000 to the Western Reserve Ohio Chapter, the Links Foundation, Incorporated, for the purpose of the Community Baby Shower Project from the District 9 ARPA Community Grant Fund.
Refer to the Health, Human Services, and Aging Committee.
Resolution 2025-0047, adopting various changes to the Cuyahoga County Non-Bargaining Classification Plan.
Refer to the Human Resources Appointments and Equity Committee.
Resolution 2025-0048, making an award to the Cleveland Cuyahoga County Workforce Development Board in the amount of $500,000 from the Cuyahoga County Educational Assistance Fund for Component 1 of the Cuyahoga County Educational Assistance Program for the period ending December 31st, 2025.
Refer to the Education, Environment, and Sustainability Committee.
Resolution 2025-0049, reappointing Deborah Sotherington to serve on the Cuyahoga County Personnel Review Commission for the term March 8th, 2025 to March 7th, 2031.
Refer to the Human Resources Appointments and Equity Committee. Committee reports and consideration of resolutions of council for second reading. Each of the items, after being read into the record, will move to the February 11, 2025 council agenda for consideration for third reading adoption.
Resolution 2024-0369, approving the appointment of Douglas J. Mazer to serve on the Cuyahoga County Soldiers and Sailors Monument Board of Trustees for an unexpired term ending November 15th, 2028. Resolution 2024-0398, awarding a total sum not to exceed $10,000 to the Women of Color Foundation for personal and professional development training programs from the District 9 ARPA Community Grant Fund. Resolution 2024-0433, awarding a total sum not to exceed $20,000 to the Cleveland Restoration Society for the Jesse Owens Family Home Stabilization Preservation Project from the District 8 ARPA Community Grant Fund. Resolution 2024-0434, awarding a total sum not to exceed $20,000 to the Dress for Success Cleveland for general operating support from the District 9 ARPA Community Grant Fund. Resolution 2025-0003, awarding a total sum not to exceed $184,000 to Manufacturing Works for the Supply Chain and Workforce Alignment Project from the District 2 ARPA Community Grant Fund. Resolution 2025-0004, awarding a total sum not to exceed $120,000 to the Arizona Alliance for the Arizona Financial Sustainability Initiative from the District 2 ARPA Community Grant Fund. Resolution 2025-006, awarding a total sum not to exceed $10,000 to the Eleanor B. Rainey Memorial Institute for the Rainey Institute Arts Education Access Program in Clark Fulton from the District 3 ARPA Community Grant Fund. Resolution 2025-0007, awarding a total sum not to exceed $50,000 to the Cuyahoga County Land Reutilization Corporation for the Circle East District Neighborhood Patrol from the District 7 ARPA Community Grant Fund.
We have a substitute on this item. I call forward Trevor McAleer to explain the substitute.
Good afternoon, council members. Trevor McAleer, County Council staff. In your packet is a proposed substitute that would increase the award from $50,000 to $100,000 to the county land bank. Currently, Councilwoman Von Conwell has introduced legislation to fund $50,000 out of the District 7 Community Grant Fund. As discussed in the Public Safety and Justice Affairs Committee, the land bank was requesting $50,000 additional dollars for a total of $100,000. Council President Miller met with the land bank along with Councilman Jones, and they have agreed to bring forward this proposed substitute that would increase the total award to $100,000, with the remaining $50,000 coming from the Community Development Fund.
Thank you very much. May I have a motion to accept the substitute?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of accepting the proposed substitute as the version before the council, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. The substitute is accepted, and the resolution as substituted will move to the February 11th council meeting for consideration for third reading adoption.
Resolution 2025-0008, awarding a total sum not to exceed $50,000 to the Assembly for the Arts for the Study of the Arts Funding Landscape Project from the District 7 ARPA Community Grant Fund. Resolution 2025-0009, awarding a total sum not to exceed $20,000 to the Western Reserve Historical Society for placemaking activities for the WRHS New African American History Gallery of the Cleveland History Center from the Districts 7 and 9 ARPA Community Grant Fund. Resolution 2025-0010, awarding a total sum not to exceed $15,000 to the Greater Cleveland Association of Black Journalists for the National Association of Black Journalists 2025 Convention and Career Fair from the Districts 7 and 9 ARPA Community Grant Funds.
We also have a substitute on this item. Mr. McAleer.
Good afternoon, council members. Trevor McAleer, council staff again. Before you is a proposed substitute that would increase the total award from $15,000 to $20,000. during the Community Development Committee, Councilman Jones indicated that he wanted to contribute an additional $5,000 out of the District 8 ARPA Community Grant Fund. This year, Cleveland, Ohio is hosting this national conference.
Is there a motion to accept the proposed substitute?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on accepting the substitute? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The substitute is accepted, and the resolution as substituted will move to the February 11th, 2025 agenda for consideration for third reading adoption.
Resolution 2025-0011, awarding a total sum not to exceed $75,000 to the Crew Foundation for the purpose of Workforce in a Digital Age project from the District 8 ARPA Community Grant Fund. Resolution 2025-0012, awarding a total sum not to exceed $10,000 to the National Rites of Passage Institute for cultural community engagement events from the District 9 ARPA Community Grant Fund. Resolution 2025-0013, awarding a total sum not to exceed $10,000 to the Neighborhood Leadership Institute for the Flagship Leadership Development Program from the District 9 ARPA Community Grant Fund. Resolution 2025-0014, awarding a total sum not to exceed $3,000 to the Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority, Inc. for the SWIM 1922 project from the District 9 ARPA Community Grant Fund.
One more substitute in this section. Mr. McAleer.
That's correct, Council President. Good afternoon again, Trevor McAleer, County Council staff. In your packet is a proposed substitute for this resolution. As discussed during the Community Development Committee meeting last Thursday, Councilwoman Conwell and Councilman Jones from the District 7 and 8 ARPA Community Grants Fund wanted to add $10,000 and $5,000 respectfully, so a total of $18,000 would be the new award.
Is there a motion to accept the proposed substitute?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the proposed substitute? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The proposed substitute is accepted, and the resolution as substituted will move to the full council for the February 11th agenda for consideration for third reading adoption.
Resolution 2025-0016, awarding a total sum not to exceed $350,000 to the United Black Fund of Greater Cleveland for the Empowering Cuyahoga County's Opportunity Zones project from the District 9 ARPA Community Grant Fund. Resolution 2025-0017, awarding a total sum not to exceed $10,000 to the Association of African American Cultural Gardens for the African American Cultural Gardens Monument Project from the District 9 ARPA Community Grant Fund. Resolution 2025-0018, awarding a total sum not to exceed $9,000 to the Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition for the A Talk with My Daughter's Black Herstory Meets Black Health program from the District 9 ARPA Community Grant Fund. Resolution 2025-0020, amending Rules 12E, 12F, and 12G of the Cuyahoga County Rules of Council pertaining to committees of the council.
Committee reports and consideration of resolutions of council for second reading adoption under suspension of the rules. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules requiring the full three readings?
Mr. President, I move to suspend the rules.
Second.
All those in favor of suspending the rules say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The rules are suspended.
Resolution 2024-0436, adopting various changes to the Cuyahoga County Non-Bargaining Classification Plan.
Any discussion? Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Resolution 2025-0019, adopting various changes to the Cuyahoga County Non-Bargaining Classification Plan.
Move to adopt. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Resolution is adopted. Committee report and consideration of an ordinance of council for second reading.
Ordinance 2025-0002 was held in committee.
Legislation introduced by council. Consideration of resolutions for first reading adoption under suspension of the rules. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules requiring referral to committee and the full 3 readings?
Mr. President, I move to suspend the rules.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor of suspending the rules say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The rules are suspended.
Resolution 2025-0050, amending the 2024-2025 biennial operating budget for 2025 by providing for additional fiscal appropriations, appropriation transfers, and cash transfers, and amending Resolution Number 2024-0439, dated November 26, 24, and Resolution Number 2024-0451, dated December 3rd, 2024.
Move to adopt.
Any discussion?
This resolution is the biweekly fiscal resolution that amends the 2024-2025 biennial operating budget for 2025 to account for various fiscal adjustments, including additional appropriations, budget transfers, and cash transfers between various funds. For our new members, our staff sends this out to all of us a week before the council meeting, and I encourage everyone to look at these and send Trevor any advanced questions you may have. Since most of these items are routine, we normally approve the biweekly fiscal agenda under first reading adoption on a biweekly basis. Highlights in this resolution include $2.5 million for Seniors Property Tax Assistance Program, which is funded by the DTAC Fund. $12.15 million, the Diversion Center Operations Contract, which is funded by the Opioid Settlement Fund. $2 million for Public Works Fleet Vehicles, and $700,000 for the Sheriff's Commissary account. $2 million grant for gun violence prevention for older kids and young adults with juvenile court. And other funding includes grants for law enforcement training, SWAT vehicles, and bag ban sustainability efforts. I urge my colleagues to support this resolution.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Resolution 2025-0061, amending Resolution Number 2024-0022, dated January 23rd, 2024, which confirmed the county executive's reappointment of Salvatore Tallarico to serve on the Cuyahoga County Audit Committee for the term January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2028, by changing the end date to December 31st, 2027.
Can the law department provide us some information on this item, please?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. The terms on the audit committee are 4 years, and we only recently realized that this resolution from 2024 would have made Mr. Tallarico's term 5 years, so we needed to correct the date in the 2024 resolution.
So, thank you very much. It's a technical item in nature, and that's why we're considering it for first reading suspension. Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The resolution is adopted. Consideration of resolutions for first reading and referral to committee.
Resolution 2025-0051, confirming the county executive's appointment of Dolores Garcia to serve on the Metro Health System Board of Trustees for an unexpired 6-year term ending February 28th, 2027.
Refer to the Human Resources Appointments and Equity Committee.
Resolution 2025-0052, confirming the county executive's appointment of Artis Arnold III to serve on the Metro Health System Board of Trustees for an unexpired 6-year term ending March 9th, 2027.
Also refer to Human Resources.
Resolution 2025-0053, confirming the county executive's reappointment of Sam Thomas III to serve on the Western Reserve Area Agency on Aging Board of Trustees for the term January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2026.
Refer to Human Resources.
Resolution 2025-0054, confirming the county executive's appointment of Nestor Rivera, Deputy Sheriff Major, to serve on the Cuyahoga County Community-Based Correctional Facility Governing Board, and it's for the term January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2026.
Refer to Human Resources.
Resolution 2025-0055, confirming the county executive's reappointment of Brandy Carney, Director of Public Safety and Justice Services, to serve on the Cuyahoga County Community-Based Correctional Facility Governing Board for the term January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2027.
Refer to Human Resources.
Resolution 2025-0056, confirming the county executive's reappointment of Vincent Holland to serve on the Cuyahoga County Community-Based Correctional Facility Governing Board for the term January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2027.
Refer to Human Resources.
Resolution 2025-0057, confirming the county executive's reappointment of Scott Osecki to serve on the Cuyahoga County Community-Based Correctional Facility Governing Board for the term January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2027.
Refer to Human Resources.
Resolution 2025-0058, confirming the county executive's reappointment of Cynthia Schultz to serve on the Cuyahoga County Board of Developmental Disabilities for the term February 1st, 2025 through January 31st, 2029.
Refer to Human Resources.
Resolution 2025-0059, confirming the county executive's reappointment of Cheryl King Benford to serve on the Cuyahoga County Law Library Resources Board for the term January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2029.
Refer to Human Resources.
Resolution 2025-0060, confirming the designation of Marka Fields to serve as the alternate to the Honorable Mayor Justin Bibb on the Cuyahoga County Planning Commission representing the Cleveland region for the term January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2027, amending resolution number 2024-0409, adopted December 3rd, 2024.
Refer to Human Resources.
Resolution 2024-0062, making an award on requisition 15314 to Vandra Brothers Construction, Inc., in the amount not to exceed $2,004,831.95 for resurfacing of 1.39 miles of Broadway Avenue from Macedonia Road to Richmond Road in the village of Oakwood, in connection with the 2021-2024 Transportation Improvement Program, effective upon signatures of all parties through project completion.
Refer to Public Works, Procurement, and Contracting Committee.
Resolution 2025-0063, authorizing a sub-grant agreement with Manufacturing Works in the amount not to exceed $2 million to carry out workforce ecosystem capacity building and coordination and develop renewable energy-related pre-apprenticeship programs and outreach for the period October 1st, 2024 through September 30th, 2029.
Refer to Education, Environment, and Sustainability Committee.
Resolution 2025-0064, authorizing an economic development loan in the amount not to exceed $2 million to 2168 West 25th Street, LLC, or its designee, for the redevelopment of the former Roush and Lang Carriage Company building, and it's located at 2168 West 25th Street in the city of Cleveland.
Refer to Economic Development and Planning Committee.
Resolution 2025-0065, amending Resolution Number 2022-0405, dated December 6, 2022, which authorized Cuyahoga County match funding forgivable loans to various organizations in the total amount not to exceed $5 million for various projects in connection with the State of Ohio Brownfield Remediation Funding Match Program for the period December 1st, 2022 through November 30th, 2025, by extending the sunset date for Warner and Swayze to November 30th, 2025.
Refer,
Refer the item to the Community Development Committee.
thank you.
Resolution 2025-0066, making an award on requisition 14216 to Medical Mutual Services LLC in the amount not to exceed $361,085,387.30 for group health benefits for the Cuyahoga County employees and their eligible dependents and Cuyahoga County Benefits Regionalization Program participants, employees, and their eligible dependents as well for the period January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2027.
Refer to Human Resources Appointments and Equity Committee.
Resolution 2025-0067, making an award on requisition 14216 to Medical Mutual of Ohio in the amount not to exceed $2,126,403 for stop-loss insurance services for Cuyahoga County and Cuyahoga County Benefits Regionalization Program participants for the period January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025.
Refer to Human Resources. And we're going to pause for a moment here. And on the next item, our chair of HHS, Ms. Conwell, believes that it would be wise for us to pass this item on first reading suspension. I'm going to call upon Ms. Conwell to explain the reason for that, and then we'll ask for a motion.
All right, good evening, colleagues. The Health and Human Services Committee has been working in regards to the home and board and care contracts, the home care contracts. And it goes back to last year and also to the ordinance, speaks to the ordinance today that we were talking about in the Committee of the Whole in terms of the administration and being in conversations with the committees and with the chairs, you know, of suggestions of how we should look and move things forward to make it easier so we can get vendors paid on time. So this contract that is before you, which is $9 million, that will, $9 million plus, that will cover vendors that have not been paid for November and December. We have talked about this extensively with the administration in terms of suggestions. What you'll see probably coming forth very soon, another contract. In increasing the contract right now, they currently go from January to December, which we know decertification and all that happens in December. It's very impossible to get vendors paid on time. So we have suggested 15-month contracts. So enough is enough. We will be moving this to 15-month contracts. You will see that coming forth very shortly to be sent to the Health and Human Services Committee. But right now, these are vendors that have not been paid for November and December of 2024. So I ask that, and if we have any further questions, we can bring up Administrator Merriman to explain on their end why, but that is an explanation from my side. So, Mr. Merriman, if you would please come up to the mic.
Good evening, David Merriman, Department of Health and Human Services, and I'm here tonight with Jackie Fletcher, the Director of the Division of Children and Family Services, and Marcos Cortez, the Director of the Division of Contract Administration and Performance. We are requesting first reading passage of these payments These represent the November and December, some November and all December invoices from our board and care contract. We're requesting passage of these on first reading suspension so that we are able to close out last year's contract. We were able to increase the appropriation for last year's contract, but did not have time to change the contract amount, and we achieved the maximum value of the contract. So as this year closes, we're aware of the invoice need from these providers. They have been patient. They are continuing to serve our children, but have also begun to recognize their own needs are going to force them to look at what they would do if they're unable to be paid. So I think what we're proposing is to change the contract that will be introduced with the next legislation to a 15-month period, so we don't have contracts ending just as the end of the calendar year and budget year occurs. So the next RFP that we issue later this year will also begin and end in either March or April, depending on negotiations. And I do want to thank Councilwoman Conwell. I think she did a good job summarizing the changes, but also proposing that we change the language to 15 months moving forward. So I'd be happy to answer any questions or to bring Marcos or Jackie up as well.
Thank you. So, do I have a motion to suspend the rules requiring referral to committee and 3 readings for this legislation?
Mr. President, I move to suspend the rule.
Second.
Any discussion on suspension of the rules? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The rules are suspended, and let us read the item into the record.
Resolution 2025-0068, authorizing an amendment to a master contract with various providers for Medicaid home and community-based services for out-of-home placement and foster care services for the period January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2024, for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $9,247,725.01 for payment of outstanding invoices effective October 1st, 2024 for the various vendors 1 through 74.
Is there a motion to adopt?
Second.
Any discussion? I would just like to say a few words that I really support this legislation. The vendors out there have difficult situations trying to keep their finances afloat, and it's just very important that they be paid in a reasonable time. And I know that in the past sometimes we've covered through November and then carried over December into the following year, and I think that Vice President Conwell really did us a service by coming up with a plan that we would pay for both November and December now and get the contractors caught up, and then we can deal with the longer-term contract in the next piece of legislation. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Thank you.
Council President, if you could turn to page 19. And Councilmember Conwell, if you could make sure your microphone is on. Resolution 2025-0069, authorizing an amendment to a master contract with various providers for Medicaid home and community-based services for out-of-home placement and foster care services for the period January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2024, to extend the time period to March 31st, 2026, to add new providers and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $83,877,274.99, effective January 1st, 2025, for the various providers 1 through 73 and 75 through 76.
Refer to the Health and Human Services and Aging Committee. And to the clerk, I would ask my name to be added to resolutions 0068 and 69.
Duly noted. Moving on to page 24.
Committee reports and consideration of resolutions for second reading. Each of these items, after being read into the record, will move to the February 11th, 2025 council agenda for consideration for third reading adoption.
Resolution 2025-0022, confirming the county executive's reappointment of Elena McCrewell to serve on the Cuyahoga County Board of Developmental Disabilities for the term May 1st, 2025 through January 31st, 2029. Resolution 2025-0033, declaring that public convenience and welfare requires the reconstruction of Lee Road from Invermere Avenue to Miles Road in the city of Cleveland in connection with the 2024-2027 Transportation Improvement Program. Estimated total project cost, $17,701,347. Also, finding that special assessments will neither be levied nor collected to pay for any part of the county's costs of said improvement. Resolution 2025-0035, making an award on requisition 14515 with Chagrin Valley Engineering Ltd. in the amount not to exceed $640,150 for engineering design services for the reconstruction of Lee Road from Shaker Heights Northern Corporation Line to Invermere Road in the city of Cleveland, effective upon signature of all parties through project completion. Resolution 2025-0036, making an award on requisition 15189 to Perk Company, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $2,756,758.25 for resurfacing of Snow Road from Ridge Road to State Road in the city of Parma, effective upon contract signature of all parties through project completion. Resolution 2025-0037, authorizing an economic development loan in the amount not to exceed $1,500,000 to WXZ CPV LLC and or Taylor Tudor Tenant LLC as its designee to facilitate the redevelopment of the Taylor Tudor Plaza located at 1900 through 1910 and 1912 through 1926 and 1932 through 1946 South Taylor Road in the city of Cleveland Heights.
Last substitute of the day, Mr. McAleer.
Good afternoon, council members. Trevor McAleer, County Council staff. Again, Council President is correct. This is the last proposed substitute for today. At yesterday's Economic Development Committee meeting, Councilwoman Simon requested that staff work with the Law Department to come up with language to ensure that the terms presented during the committee would be included in the resolution for this economic development loan. The administration agreed, and we worked with Law Director Greg Huth, and Section 1 is being amended to include the terms that are in the whereas section.
Is there a motion to accept the proposed substitute as the version before the council?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The substitute is accepted and the resolution as substituted will move to the full council for the February 11th meeting for consideration for third reading adoption.
Also, Council President, Councilmember Simon has requested her name be added as a sponsor to this legislation. Resolution 2025-0039, making awards to various municipalities in the total amount of $1,818,295.88 for various projects or programs in connection with the fiscal year 2025 Community Development Block Grant Program for the period January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. Resolution 2025-0040, making awards to various municipalities and agencies in the amount not to exceed $1,648,012 for various projects or programs in connection with the fiscal year 2025 Community Development Supplemental Grant Program for the period January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025, items A through double H.
Mr. President, please add my name to this.
Please add Councilman Kelly's name.
Mr. President, please add my name to this as well.
Yes, please add the councilman's name.
Could you add my name as well, Mr. President?
Yes.
Two.
So hold on, let me get it now. So Councilman Kelly, Councilman Schlepper, and who
And
else?
Councilman Sweeney. And Simon.
Thank you.
And Conwell.
Resolution 2025-0041, authorizing an amendment to a contract with the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland in the original amount not to exceed $1 million to increase the per household rate paid by the county from $1,067 to $1,700, effective April 1st, 2021. No additional funds required. Resolution 2025-0042, authorizing an amendment to a contract with WB Mason Co., Inc. for general office supplies and related services for the period April 1st, 2021 through March 31st, 2025, to extend the time period to March 31st, 2026, to change the pricing list and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $550,000. Resolution 2025-0044 was held in committee.
Committee reports and consideration of resolutions for second reading adoption under suspension of the rules. Do I have a motion to suspend the rule requiring 3 readings?
Mr. President, I move to suspend the rules.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The rules are suspended.
Resolution 2025-0021, confirming the county executive's appointment of Sarah Stimely to serve on the Cuyahoga County Board of Developmental Disabilities for the term February 1st, 2025 through January 31st, 2029.
President, may I?
Do we have a motion?
I'm so moved. I'd like to say something about this extraordinarily wonderful young lady. This is the first time in the history of the Development Disability Board that a person with a development disability will be serving on this board. And she was so excited, and she's going to bring a perspective. And it's just, I'm very happy, and she happens to be in Councilman Castleberry's district.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Castleberry.
I just want to add, I have not had the opportunity to meet her yet, but she does live in my district. I heard a lot from her from Councilman Sweeney, and I did watch the video, and she was very excited, proud to be a member of this board. So thank you all for supporting her.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Mr. Chairman, can you add my name to that, please?
Yes, please add the councilman's name and mine as well. Conwell. Okay, thank you.
Resolution 2025-0023, confirming the county executive's reappointment of Janice M. Ziegel to serve on the Western Reserve Area Agency on Aging Board of Trustees for the term January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2027.
So moved. It was passed and heard unanimously in HR committee.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Resolution 2025-0024, confirming the county executive's appointment of Benjamin R. Goodwin to serve on the Cuyahoga County Advisory Board on Senior and Adult Services for an unexpired term ending December 31st, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
It was heard and reviewed and passed unanimously out of the HR committee.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Council President, Council Rule 9C allows for the reading of very similar items by abbreviated titles. Therefore, items 4 through 11 will be read into the record by abbreviated titles if there are no objections.
Seeing none, please proceed.
Resolution 2025-0025, confirming the county executive's appointment of Alyssa Peters.
So moved.
Second.
It was heard and passed unanimously out of the HR committee.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Resolution 2025-0026, confirming the county executive's appointment of Victoria Bowden.
So moved.
Second.
This was passed unanimously and heard in the HR committee. I ask my colleagues to support it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Resolution 2025-0027, confirming the county executive's appointment of Robin Kaltenbach.
So moved.
Second.
This was passed unanimously out of the HR committee. I ask my colleagues to support it.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Resolution 2025-0028, confirming the county executive's appointment of Jared D. Sherman.
So moved.
Second.
I ask my colleagues to support it. It was passed out unanimously in the HR committee.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Resolution 2025-0029, confirming the county executive's reappointment of Christopher T. Hall.
So moved.
Second.
I want to ask everyone to support this. It was passed unanimously out of the HR committee.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Resolution 2025-0030, confirming the county executive's reappointment of Jennifer Kahns.
So moved.
Second.
I'd ask my colleagues to support this piece of legislation. It was passed unanimously out of the HR committee.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Resolution 2025-0031, confirming the county executive's reappointment of Cheryl M. Braddis.
So moved.
Second.
I'd like my colleagues to support this piece of legislation that was unanimously passed out of the HR committee.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Resolution 2025-0032, confirming the county executive's reappointment of Donisha Green.
So moved.
Second.
I'd like my colleagues to consider supporting this legislation. It was passed unanimously out of the HR committee.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Resolution 2025-0034, approving right-of-way exhibits as set forth in plat number M6001 for the reconstruction of the Lake Road Clifton Boulevard project in the cities of Lakewood and Rocky River in connection with the Cuyahoga County Lakefront Access Plan.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. President, this item was fully vetted in the Public Works Committee meeting, and I ask for my colleagues' support.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Resolution 2025-0043, authorizing an amendment to a contract with the Metro Health System for correctional health care services for the Cuyahoga County Jail System for the period May 9th, 2019 through January 31st, 2025, to extend the term to October 31st, 2025, to add funds in the amount of $17,250,000 for a total amount of $128,165,111.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President.
Yes.
This was heard in Safety Committee. This legislation gives the necessary room for the administration to go through the 6 bidders for the health care in the jail. So the committee recommends adoption.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Through the chair, would you please add my name?
Please add the councilperson's name. Committee report and consideration of an ordinance for second reading.
Ordinance 2024-0005 has not been referred out of committee.
Miscellaneous committee reports. We're going to start on my far right with Councilman Kelly and move down the line.
Thank you, Mr. President. Economic Development will meet on Monday, February 3rd at 3 p.m. HR will meet at its regularly scheduled time.
Mr. President, Safety, Tuesday, 1 o'clock, and we will be given a presentation and update on the building of the new jail.
The Operations Committee does not have a meeting scheduled at this time.
Health and Human Services will meet on Wednesday at 1 o'clock at its regularly scheduled time.
Public Works Committee meeting will meet at its regular scheduled time to deal with the items referred today.
Nothing scheduled at this time for finance and budgeting.
Nothing scheduled at this time for community development.
Education may not meet on Wednesday. It's regular time at 3. I will talk to the clerk about people's availability and the timeliness of the meeting.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Did anybody take that 1 o'clock time slot on Monday, February 3rd? That would have been finance, right?
Finance would be Monday at
1 o'clock. Are they meeting? They're not meeting.
Correct.
Would the people on my economic development be available at 1 o'clock instead of 3?
I would be available.
I'm not. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I saw we could move it up if it was easier.
Okay,
have a
it sounds like we're going to stay with 3 o'clock.
Stay
Is
with
that
3 o'clock.
correct?
That's fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And Council President?
Yeah.
I just want to correct Councilmember Hauser. There is a CD item that was referred to committee. So right now, the date is February 3rd at 10.
So, do you wish to meet at that time, or do you want to take a little time and think about it?
I'll take time and think about it. I think it's one item, so I'll take some time.
Okay, fine.
And
Okay.
it would be at 9:30, I'm sorry, not 10.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for the committee reports. We're going to have a busy time. Does anyone have any miscellaneous business?
I do.
Yes,
People ready
Ms.
to
Stein.
leave. I just want to say that there was a film that the executive and I attended this week. Ripples of Plastic. So this was a film by a local filmmaker who was able to look at the impact of the plastic pollution in the Great Lakes. This is the first time this research has actually come home, and we heard horrendous conclusions out of that film, and we'll be playing it here because of our plastic bag ban. We've gone through this for years and years and years, but we have scientific, the conclusions with the science that's been conducted on the lake is pretty interesting, and I think we all should know why we're doing this, and it's right next to us. We're breathing plastic, we're eating plastic. It's in every part of our life, and it's toxic. So I think it's important we understand why we should bring our own bags. This wasn't just some fun little exercise that I was attacked for probably 5 years. So we'll be showing the film.
Thank you very much for bringing that to our attention and for all your long and diligent work on this issue. Any further miscellaneous business? Hearing none, this council stands adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.